we have reached the end of season 3. We're there. We can see the finish line. Welcome to I Rebel. I'm Andrew Fantasia.
James Rosile.
And these are jelly beans. This is a Star Wars jelly bean machine.
Do you want one?
Yes, I do.
It's already out.
Oh, thank you.
Two came out. It was like
one of my
treat.
coworkers. Great guy. This guy named Alan. Let me tell you a little thing about Alan. Alan's an older gentleman. He spent his honeymoon. He got married in summer of 1977, and for his honeymoon, he went to go see A New Hope with his wife.
No.
Great guy. Loves Star Wars. He bought me this jelly bean machine.
We need to have him on the show. I just want to know.
Awesome.
I mean, people out there, I know there are some that comment that watched A New Hope when it wasn't A New Hope, when it was Star Wars in the theater. And I would love to hear that experience. Mm-hmm. For me, my experience, The Phantom Menace, I mean, and I guess Force Awakens to an extent, but The Phantom Menace was the very first Star Wars film I got to see in the theater.
Same.
Well, wait, yeah. I saw the original trilogy because they re-released them, but for the very first time, seeing them was The Phantom Menace, and it was an amazing experience. And I would just like to know what it was like 40 years ago today, 30 years before that, 2015, whatever years it was.
When it was
20 years before Phantom Menace. Yeah, when it was new, and you're like, what is a Star... Like, what was Star Wars, and what made you go see it on your honeymoon? Because you weren't a fanboy,
Exactly.
obviously.
You couldn't be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a great conversation to have. We've reached the end, as I said, of season 3. We're going to do the last 5 episodes today. And then I Rebel will be starting after that point, going week by week as the show plays out.
Well, tomorrow we'll have our preview show for season 4.
That's right. Yeah, we will have a preview show as well. But it's a whole new ball game from here on out. Of course, if you love I Rebel, give that subscribe button some love. Give that thumbs up button some love. Like us, comment, give us hugs, virtual hugs.
Yeah, you can, if you know, the more you do that, the more it helps us, and we can have a set.
That's right. Look at this set. Look at this backdrop.
Brock's house is locked and we couldn't get in.
Those are all painted on. That's not real.
Is that? I thought I saw the Mighty Ducks 2. I've
actually never seen a Mighty Duck.
Really?
Yeah.
The cartoon's great. Anyway, let's move on.
I remember the cartoon. Yeah, we are moving on. We have episode 318 is where we're starting. It's called Secret Cargo. And this is the Mon Mothma episode. This is the big one. This is the rebellion is becoming what it is circa A New Hope. Like, this is the birth of that. It's such a crucial moment in the lore because this is when Mon Mothma steps up. She's been a senator, senator for Chandrilla in the Senate. The Imperial Senate still exists, even though it's pretty much useless. She has been a senator for all these years, secretly trying to take down Palpatine, and this is when she stands up and makes that not a secret anymore. This is when she gets in her little floaty pod and she says, Palpatine, middle finger, you suck. I'm I'm uprising against you. And anybody who wants to join me, you're more than welcome, because being a slave and being bullied is not cool. So she, obviously she did it a little bit more eloquently than I just did, but she gets people to stand for the first time. They've spent the last 16, 17 years kneeling. Now she gets them to stand. As they say in Hamilton, when you're living on your knees, you rise up. Tell your brother that he's got to rise up. Tell your sister that she's got to rise up.
Still never, I don't know.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Like Hamilton?
Hamilton,
like near Toronto.
Not that one, but that one is probably named after the man. I mean, I can't think of any other famous Hamiltons. We also get John Dutch Vander, a.k.a. Gold Later. He's in this episode. We get to see him again. And we also get to see Volt Scaris, the Imperial ace pilot, who is a really damn good pilot, and nobody's been able to take him out. And he is piloting Thrawns' brand spanking new TIE Defender. That beautiful TIE Defender. Looks so cool. Did the end of this episode give you the feels, James? Did this, when you saw those rebel ships come out of hyperspace?
It's funny. No, I really liked it. I thought it was cool. But the episode I did with Brock of the Rebel Scum podcast, right after that, he was like, oh my God. It was nice to see. And it was the beginning of the formation. It was the beginning of the end. Mm-hmm. This is the beginning of the end of the galaxy as they know it, as we know it. This is what Luke plans on joining soon. Mm-hmm. And actually, I just thought of something about the next about the Darth Maul episode coming up. Remind me that I thought of something.
Okay.
It's not that exciting, so don't get too excited. But yeah, it was cool to see. It didn't give me the feels because I just got home from work. That's how I watched it. It would air while I was Saturday night. I work Sunday. Come home from work Sunday around 7:00. That was good, and then that would be it. And I really liked it. You obviously got the feels.
Yeah. Because there's a brief moment where you really feel their hopelessness, and she transmitted to everybody. She sent her message, and she's like, "If you stand with me, meet me here." And they're standing on the bridge of, in the cockpit of the Ghost, I think, and they're all just looking out the window, and Mon Mothma's just standing there. She's looking, and you can see her face start to drop, and she's waiting, and it's silent, and then a ship comes out of hyperspace, and another one, and then 12 more. And these are all what we recognize from the original movies to be rebel ships. These are, ships like the Home One, ships like Tafanda Bay, like those classic looking rebel ships. So we see that these people are standing up for basically the majority of 3 whole seasons. We have watched this small group of people operate on its own with very little help. Every once in a while Sato will give them a Y-wing, but that's it. Mostly they're doing stuff on their own. But this is our first glimpse into the fact that the galaxy's not taking this sitting down, and they want to do something about it. Damn it. They want to fight back. So, Secret Cargo, you rock. And any excuse to see Gold Leader is cool with me. I like Gold Leader. And then we got James Rosile's all-time favorite thing ever, episode 319, Double Agent Droid. This is the money. This is the money.
Whoever wrote the singing at the end, I would like to shake your head. When I watched this episode and he starts singing at the end, there was a moment of disbelief. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and then I said, no, I love it. So that's actually how it was. Like, there was a moment and I was like, are they really?
Yeah.
I was just so thrown off. I feel like the writers were like, let's just do it.
Because of the way AP5's voice is, I was in the same boat as you. He sings the first line, but it doesn't really sound like he's singing 100%. Yeah. And you're thinking, okay, there was a weird way to say, oh my God, is he singing right now? And then when he says the next line and it rhymes, you're like, he is friggin' singing right now.
I would love to know everyone's thoughts on this. Like, you guys below, please. Filoni, Stanton, Freddie Prinze Jr., everybody that's involved with Rebels. Just tell, like serious. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I could see people hating on it big time, but for whatever reason, I was completely on board with it. Like, at first I was thrown off, like you said, and then completely on board with it. Just completely like, yeah, whatever. This is perfect.
Because I think it's because the way they played it off. They didn't play it off as like an actual magical, whimsical thing. They played it off as, this is a joke.
And then it ends on a bigger joke.
Yeah, exactly. This was such a delicate, high wire walk that they did. And if it had tilted too far in one or the other direction, like if they had given it the feeling of, this is normal, everybody sings in Star Wars all the time, everybody breaks down the song. If they had given it that feeling, which is hard to put into words, but you know what I'm talking about, like that whole Disney-ish feeling where somebody just starts singing,
like I do every time I watch a musical.
Every single time. If they had tilted too far in that direction, it would have not worked. But the fact that they did it with a straight face, but like tongue planted firmly in cheek, and then all of a sudden it turns on its head and becomes an even bigger joke, that to me was like pitch perfect.
And then he gets scooped up in like a humorous way.
There are birds in space
that
fly on his little finger.
Is this a dream sequence? Like, it was hilarious. I think he's hallucinating because he was like burning up or something. It was amazing. Kudos to having the cojones to do this.
Do you think we will see singing in The Last Jedi?
No, I think it's been confirmed. We saw the behind the scenes of Finn and Rey dancing.
That's right.
And that's actually them rehearsing their big dance number from the finale.
That dance is canon.
Yeah, that dance is. Absolutely not.
Two things become canon, speaking of which, in this episode. That have not been canon before, that kind of caught me off guard. One of them is Glasses. Eyeglasses. The guy, there's a character that Josh Gad plays in this episode who's just like this really nerdy.
Josh Gad playing Pablo Hidalgo.
Playing Pablo, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you have an episode, the only time that Star Wars has singing in it, you have Josh Gad in that episode, and he does not do any singing, which is kind of funny. But he plays this really nerdy guy who's just sitting in a room somewhere and is like, let's hack people for the Empire. And he has glasses. That's the first time I've ever seen that in Star Wars, a person with glasses.
Yeah, you think that their technology would be beyond that.
Yeah, or like it would look... We've seen people wear stuff on their eyes that looks funky, but this, it literally, like, it just looked like James's glasses, like just a normal...
Why not your glasses?
Because mine are a little different. Yours looked like what he was wearing. No. I'm sorry, that's just the way the world works. Another thing that became canon, Ezra and Zeb do something in this episode that is now something that people in the Star Wars galaxy do, and that is this. They give each other props in this episode. I can't remember what happens, but they're celebrating something. They're like, yeah, we shot that tire or whatever, and they give each other props. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? That's a thing now. So that's a thing now. That's in here.
Hey, I'm okay with it.
Considering that there are, up after this point, like after season 3 is done, there are only 15 episodes left in the show. Right.
No, is there 16 episode 4?
Maybe you're right. 16. Yeah. After Double Agent Droid, we have like one more big episode and then the finale. So considering that that season 4 is shortened, I think it might be safe to say that this Double Agent Droid, it might be the last time we get an episode that features prominently on Chopper and AP5.
I'm gonna disagree. Because I think that the writers and everyone behind Rebels loves Chopper so much that I think we're going to get one big grand Chopper episode coming up.
I can dig that.
That's why I'll disagree. You might be right. I mean, I would do that, but yeah. Every season we get that one big Chopper episode. Mm-hmm. So. And I can't see that changing in the final season. I think they'll give him one big send-off. Whether or not it's his last episode on the show or not, I don't know. But I think he'll get one more.
I hope so. I hope we see these two droids again doing one more heroic thing before all said and done. Speaking of droids, a funny thing happens in this episode, and I've been wanting to watch New Hope and double check, but I never get around to it. So maybe somebody out there knows. Maybe you know. Wedge is in this episode, Wedge Antilles, and he gets so fed up with Chopper and AP5 that at the end of the episode, he just basically has like a mini breakdown, and he says, "That's it. I'm done with droids, and I'm flying solo from now on. I'm never dealing with a droid again." Does he have an R2 unit on his X-wing at the Battle of Yavin? I don't think he does, and this would be a really nice little nod to that. This would be great if that's the case. Also, there's a new planet in this episode. It's called Killin 71. Now, I'm not going to count the other 70, which I assume do exist, but we hear of Killin 71, so that is now canon, and that gives us 28 planets in Rebels. And so far, that's all the new planets we get.
He's got an R2 unit behind him.
He does? Oh, it's red.
Yeah, it's red. It's hard to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like his head is kind of covering it. So
maybe it's a fake R2 unit, and he just put that there.
I'm sure that's what they'll say.
Yeah, Red Leader was like, you have to have an R2, and he's like, okay, conspiracy, Illuminati.
Yeah. So anyway, he definitely has one there.
So that's Double Agent Droid.
Someone drew
Wedge Antilles R2 unit.
Someone drew his. You can't see it. It's
that's
too bright.
I
don't know how to use this phone.
Yeah, it's a red and white R2 unit. It looks neat. So James, do you know what the next episode is? I need a jelly bean to get through this.
This is... Oh my... I didn't even... No,
you show you how this works. First of all, there's a stormtrooper here. This is the Death Star. He's working on a lever, and I'm like, pull this lever. And then jelly beans come out of that.
I had a brown jelly bean. It was kind of disgusting.
Well,
I'll take this green one.
Yeah,
I absolutely love this episode. Although, this is when I say the pacing of the show is up. Because we have... Every episode we've done of Our Rebel, where we've covered 5 episodes in one, we have mentioned Darth Maul.
Yes.
Except for the last episode.
We mentioned him, but he wasn't in it.
He wasn't in it. So in between episodes, there's always like 5 to 7. in between Darth Maul's story arc. Now, Darth Maul shows up at the very beginning of the season, episode 2 or 3, whatever it is, and he goes, "I need the hologram." We have and him and Ezra look at it, and they're like, "He's alive," and he flies off. Mm-hmm. Right? Great. But then he doesn't show up for a while, and then when he does show up, excuse me, it's for the Darksaber. It's not really for his storyline so much to get that to Sabine, which is fine. Mm-hmm. But then he disappears again, and now he's come back, and it's like I wish. The one thing with this season that I've said before is I really wish they put the Sabine stuff here and the Maul stuff here, and if you could find a way to get the Darksaber tour with Maul, even still have Sabine gone for longer. Mm-hmm. And then focus on the Maul arc because every time Maul showed up, he's a big threat. He's a big threat. Okay, we forget about him for 4 weeks. And then all of a sudden, the Sabine thing happens, and we're going to talk about it soon, where she's gone now, and now Maul shows up, but he hasn't been around because we're going to talk about it later. But the fight with Maul is very quick. Mm-hmm. But it's fine, and it works. However, I think it would have worked better had we seen the buildup of Maul condensed together.
I agree.
If it's all together, and you're like, because then all of a sudden Maul is a character in your forefront of your mind. You're like, oh, this character wants it. Boom. Oh. But now it's like, well, 6 months ago, he went to go. Like, what took him so long to get to Tatooine?
Apparently what I think Filoni was saying was that all the information that he got from the ghosts and everything was that Tatooine was the place. But Tatooine, like if somebody told you like, oh, you got to find Andrew Fantasia and kill him, he's on Earth somewhere. If you don't really know much about Earth.
But he's been to Tatooine.
He has, you're right. Not that part of Tatooine though.
No, but so it's all sand.
Yeah, it's all sand. So
But he wasn't on Tatooine that entire time because of the Darksaber episode.
Right, like after Darksaber is when he supposedly
which
left.
Is fine, but if we would have gotten more of that leading, I think
you're right.
But anyway, that's my one gripe with it all was that's where I think the stories themselves could have been stronger had they structured it in a way where Sabine's here and then she's gone. Which is, look, if you love Sabine, what you do, and I like Sabine, it's fine though because that's the story arc. Like her character arc ends there. Then you have the Maul arc. You deal with that crap because you need to, and then we're going to talk about a little bit, and then the finale with Thrawn, and then the Bendu, which is a whole other mess.
The Bendu.
I love the Bendu though. Hold on.
There you go.
Oh, I overdid it.
Make that stormtrooper work. No, you did it right.
Stand up straight, soldier.
I'm going to take this green one here.
So anyway,
usually
that's my thoughts on that's my negative thoughts on it. My positive is it was a great way to finish off Maul the way he, because a lot of now it's like Obi-Wan killed Maul, no duh, because people that don't watch the cartoons, Clone Wars or Rebels, Maul's dead.
Yeah,
like Maul died, and with Ray Park, he's dead. When we went to Star Wars Celebration, he had no idea there was a cartoon about him. So it made sense for Obi-Wan to get the finishing touches. What did you think of him knowing of Ezra?
I think it makes sense if he's apparently been in communication with Yoda and Qui-Gon, and Yoda would have said something because it makes perfect sense. Listen, Obi-Wan, just so you know, I talked to these guys on Lothal. They're pretty strong in the Force too.
But to that point now, and this is where I bring this up again, wouldn't he not have told Luke about Ezra and Kanan?
Which means they gotta go.
Yeah,
they gotta go.
Like you set it up now.
Yeah,
that's it. The one thing I mentioned last a little while ago, was it this episode? I can't remember. Luke's very young in this episode. I thought of this a little while ago.
He's not as young as he looks,
but he's still younger than Mark Hamill.
Yeah, this is about 2 years before that, I think.
Yeah, so the timeline of the show is not, I think, what any of us thought necessarily. We all knew it started 4 years before A New Hope, but now. What is it? Right now we could be 2 years, like you said. We could still be 3 years. We could be 2.5 years. We could be 1 year. We could be, because I thought it was closer to A New Hope. But then you see Luke run, and you're like, ooh, he still has like 2 feet to grow. He's still got growth.
That's true. Yeah, I think that animation was just like, we shouldn't take that at face value, because I think we're closer than we think we are. I think we're about at most a year and a half out from Scarif and Yavin.
But a 16-year-old kid wouldn't run like that.
You're right. Yeah, I think that's an animation flaw more than anything else. I know.
Cham Syndulla.
Luke.
Aunt Beru, the most important character in Star Wars.
My Aunt Beru is down pat. I will play Aunt Beru. JJ, if you need Aunt Beru's Force Ghost in episode 9, I got it.
Well, luckily for you, JJ acknowledges is the original trilogy. If you want to be someone from the prequel trilogy, such as Aunt Beru from the prequels, you would be
out of luck.
Shoot out of luck.
Luke's just not a farmer, Owen. He's got too much of his father in him. See, I got it down.
Looks like they're having a barbecue at my house.
Oh, poor Beru. So this is what we've been waiting for. This is what I've been waiting for since that episode of Clone Wars 8 years ago where they said, hey, Maul's alive. Because it's the same kind of deal as it's the whole Kanan and Ezra situation where it's like, okay, if Maul's alive, where he been at? Why is he not running around Hoth? Like, what's going on? Where you can't just, say he's still around. So we saw him go through his journey in Clone Wars with his brother. We saw something happen in a comic, which we'll get to read eventually.
November 27th or 17th?
I think it's 17th. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's a little earlier than 27th. And now we see him doing his Rebels thing. He needed to go. And he went. I think in the most appropriate and touching way that he could have possibly went. I was shocked by how quick the fight was, but I don't dislike it. I think it's exactly what it needed to be. What I love more than anything is the little conversation he has with Obi-Wan as he is dying. Yeah. Because it's such a beautiful sort of comparison of these two guys. Because I would imagine that Maul was roughly the same age as Obi-Wan in Phantom Menace. Like they were both like younger dudes, in their prime and such. And I feel like they're two sides of the same coin where Obi-Wan was led by this strict rule of the Jedi and then cast into exile by Palpatine. And Maul was brought up in this harsh environment by Palpatine himself and then cast aside when he wasn't needed anymore. So both of them were sort of slaves to their environment, and then Palpatine turned them into garbage, essentially, and threw them away. And given the opportunity, Palpatine would kill both of them in a heartbeat. So their lives have been ruined by this man. Their upbringing has all been about following rules that in the end didn't really matter. And so when Maul is dying and old Obi-Wan is just kind of holding his head up, and they have that great exchange where Maul realizes, okay, you're here because you're protecting something. And he's like, is it the chosen one? Is it like the guy who's going to bring balance? And Obi-Wan's like, it is. And Maul looks so relieved. For the first time since we've seen him in Clone Wars, for the first time ever, the animated Maul has a look of relief on his face. And he says, like, then he'll avenge us. And that word, us, is so important and so beautiful because he's talking about himself and Obi-Wan. He's looking at Obi-Wan for the first time as an equal, as a peer, and seeing, like, Sidious did this to us. The chosen one will avenge us. He will avenge what happened to us. That was so much more, leagues ahead of what I was expecting.
I almost feel like he went there to die.
You could be right.
Like he was like, his end was on Tatooine. The only person that he felt worthy enough to put him to rest would be Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. So he went to find Obi-Wan to kill him because his life was over and he had no other way to go.
And I think it'd be really cool if deep down that is what he wanted, but he refused to believe it himself. Yeah. And he's telling himself it's for revenge. I mean, he's never really complained about the fact that he doesn't have real legs anymore. That's never really been an issue for him. Like, look at what he's made of. He's always been kind of like cool with it. So I think it'd be great if it's exactly what you're saying. And he wants to die. He's miserable. So he goes to the person who ended his life before to make it happen because he doesn't want to go to Sidious for it because he doesn't want to give him the satisfaction. And But he tells himself, because he's in such a state of denial, that he's doing it for revenge, because that has been his thing. And we saw even in the prequel comic that we got, that takes place before episode 1, how he was all about Palpatine brainwashed him and like put it into his mind, you have to kill as many Jedi as possible because we have to have revenge against them for what they did to us. So when he kills a Jedi in that comic, spoilers, and he goes back to Sidious, Sidious is like, are you satisfied? And he's like, no. And Sidious is like, good. Don't be. Keep killing. And he ended that chain of killing here on Tatooine, possibly because he failed, but I like to think that you're right. He did it because he wanted to do it. And he could never admit that to himself or to anyone, but this was exactly what he needed. So Maul, you will be missed, sir.
Hello, everybody.
You're, do you remember the first time you ever saw him, like in the trailer, like what you thought of him?
Yeah.
Did you see him before the trailer? Like, was it an image revealed? I feel like that would have happened. Like, here's the new villain.
Yeah, I remember it was on TV, and I just remember being like, that is the coolest thing ever. And I remember being very disappointed when he got killed in the movie. So I was like, oh, he's not going to be in the next one. That was kind of it. And I was, when Kylo Ren became the big thing, I loved Kylo Ren. I'm like, Kylo Ren looks awesome. Can't wait for Kylo Ren. But in the back of my head, I'm like, are they going to maul him? Is he going to die? And then, or something. And of course, what happens? He's going maskless pretty much. Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's like they can't commit. But Darth Maul was like the obsession that I had for a while. He was like the coolest thing. It was like him and Jabba the Hutt were what I was looking forward to most in the Phantom Menace. I don't care what you say. And I was really excited. But then, Watto takes over and Ben Quadinaros. And Darth Maul was always someone that was like, this is the coolest thing ever. But I'm glad his story's over because it's been 20 years since he hit the screen. Like it's enough's enough almost.
I was like that when Phantom Menace came out, but with Obi-Wan. I was just stoked to see young Obi-Wan go on his adventures because he was like my favorite hero in those movies. So I never had that Maul effect where I was like, this is my new favorite guy ever. But he was cool, undeniably cool. And he, to this day, like you could show a picture of him to a non-Star Wars fan and they would probably know who he is.
Yeah. Well, he's in Battlefront 2. You're in the panel that I was in at Star Wars Celebration. The head honcho over at, what was he, of EA, or was he of some or DICE or one of them? He was like in charge of it all, and he's like, I have a man crush on Darth Maul.
Yeah,
and that's why Maul is so heavily in this game and invested because people love Darth Maul. And honestly, I played Battlefront 2 as Darth Maul, and it is awesome. You get to like double-bladed lightsaber like spinning around. It's awesome, so much fun, and he just looks cool.
Yeah,
everything about him was cool and different, but very Star Wars at the same time.
Yes, everybody in 1999, everybody on the playground wanted to be Darth Maul, and I was cool with that because I always wanted to be Obi-Wan. So it was fun sitting back and being like, I got my character, and watching everybody else fight over who got to be Maul. So Maul, you will be missed, buddy. We're here. We're at the finale.
Bum bum bum. Part 1.
0 hour. Let's do part 1 and 2 together because this is a very
Part 1 though. I just have to say, is miles and miles better than part 2.
Absolutely.
Miles and miles. It was. I watched it. I don't know if you had already seen it when I saw it because again I went to work, came home, I'm like I'm gonna watch, and it was back to back. They aired, so I put on my PVR because we call them PVRs here. Not DVR. Although some people say DVR.
Oh, is that what they call it in the States?
I believe so, yeah. But I think also some satellites here have DVR. Anyway, who cares? and I watched it, and the first episode was going, and Brock hadn't seen it yet, and I texted him. I said, dude, this is good. And then my other response was, I'm worried for part 2. Because part 1 was so solid, and the way they had Thrawn get to the group in space, and he had them all trapped, and there's nowhere to go. And then Sato... Rest in peace, bro. But that was perfect. Perfect. It was almost how I said about Sabine earlier. Like he needed to go. And but he didn't need to go. But when he went, you felt that when you're like, oh damn. He's been around for a while. Constantine went. Right? Yeah. All in one blow. It was just a solid episode. And then of course Sabine, Ezra goes to get Sabine.
Yeah, that's how part 1 ends with him saying, I'm going to go get Sabine.
Yeah, which again, had she been gone for longer than a week.
Yeah.
Right?
It would have been a little bit more impactful. You're right. It was the part 1 was leagues ahead, and one of my favorite scenes was right at the beginning. It's another scene that's so much more grown up than you would expect from a cartoon, which is Callus getting discovered by Thrawn.
Yes.
That was tight, man. He's up in that tower on Lothal where Ezra used to hang out, and he's transmitting Fulcrum info, and Thrawn walks in the doorway and he's like, "Sup?" And they have this great little exchange where like Callus knows he can't talk his way out of it now. That's it. He's done. And he shows just how much he hates the Empire and Thrawn. Like, it comes out verbally for the first time, and they have this great little fight, and Callus does not come out on top, and he's all like bloodied and bruised, and it's such a brutal, raw scene that really sets the tone for like this is not going to go well for the rebels. This was a very Empire Strikes Back finale in that their base was found and raided by walkers, and they had no choice but to leave. Like, it was...
Did you get the sense Callus was going to kick the bucket in this one?
Almost. When he was found in that tower and they were fighting, I thought that Thrawn was going to, like, when he basically said, like, "I beat you," I thought he was going to pick him up and throw him over the side of the tower. I'm glad he didn't, though. I like Callus. He's my boy. I want him to be okay.
Yeah, this half was, like you said, like from start to finish, this was great. And then the second half, they have to deal with the Bendu. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I love the Bendu. From beginning to end, I'm like, oh, I love the Bendu. I want more Bendu. But the Bendu didn't need to... Well, they kind of... I don't know. I don't want to say they ruined the Bendu, but they made the Bendu like, what? Like, what the hell's the point of this thing now?
Yeah, he's really a question mark for me. I mean, okay, he can summon lightning. He can create a storm. But if you shoot him, he'll die. But he won't die. He'll just vanish.
He'll laugh. He reminds me of the Ghost of Christmas Present. But
yo, that's so true.
But it was so weird. It's like, oh, are they going to, and then I was like, are they going to kill Thrawn? I don't want him to go like, this is the worst way to kill Thrawn. Mm-hmm. And then he shoots him.
Not as bad as he died in the books, but still pretty bad.
But then they kill him. And it's like, what? Why? Because you don't want him anymore on the show? Like, just leave him there. This planet, they're leaving this planet anyway. Mm-hmm. I guess they needed... I mean, the other thing is Thrawn had the rebels. So they needed an out for the rebels. So the Bendu was the out. Okay, fine. He creates a storm. He's on any side. Blah, blah, blah. He wants everyone to leave this planet. But then you shoot him out of the sky. Thrawn should have just flown off.
Yeah.
He should have thrown off with his troopers. And then
he had death troopers, by the way.
Yeah, Brock thinks anytime a death trooper shows up, somebody's going to die. They're like the angel of death. I kind of like that idea. I hope they continue that. Yeah. But yeah, they could have both just flown out in separate directions because the weather. They're like, oh, we gotta go this way, and they're like, go that way. Don't worry, we'll get the rebels soon. But instead,
yeah, you will die with hands around something about an embrace. Man, the Bendu really. He's like Mortis. It's like you showed me something and you said this is really important in regards to the more mythical aspect of the Force. But if it is that important, you got to make it a little bit clearer. And I hate saying that because I'm usually the guy who defends things where not everything is spelled out for you. Like, I'm the guy who will defend the final season of Lost to my dying breath, whereas people will say it's bad because it didn't answer questions. Like, I'm the guy who will say the answers are there, they just don't spell them out for you. So I hate being the guy who also has to say, like, be more obvious. I don't know. Like, it goes against the grain of what I am, but I think in this case
they screwed up because look, the Bendu's this mythical creature, and then you shot it out of the sky.
Yeah,
you can't shoot a cloud. This is what I don't get. I don't get it. I love the Bendu until that moment, and especially since the first half of this episode was so strong, like part one of the finale was so strong. Now you've got this. It felt rushed. It was like and that again they're pacing like this, just relax. Yeah. Relax.
If I had to make a prediction, like if the Bendu is going to be seen again and I had to guess what his deal is, the only thing I can think of is that the Bendu is one of possibly many very ancient celestial kind of beings. And he is the planet Adelon. They're the same thing. Which is why every creature on that planet had this weird sort of force sensitivity thing to them. The spiders had it. Those birds had it. Ezra and Kanan felt something as soon as they landed there. If I had to guess, I'd say Adelon and the Bendu are the same thing. And now that the Imperials know where Adelon is, and they've taken it over, and they've had this huge, like, scarring, like, landscape scarring battle on the planet, I think that the Bendu's physical form fizzled out, and he became one with the Force, whatever, still alive, but that planet is now going to just die and become a rock, and he's going to be a Force ghost because he doesn't want the Empire to mess up him, essentially.
Fair enough.
That's the only thing I can think of. And it's weird and it's out there, but
makes sense. So is the Bendu.
Yeah, exactly. Kanan Jarrus. That's I can't really do it very well. But that's 0 Hour. That's the end of season 3.
That means only one thing.
Canceled.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, that's it. We won't have...
Fox bought them.
That's it. Fox bought them, and the time slot that they put them in is the exact same time slot as football, so they're going to cancel the show.
Stormtrooper.
You like getting those purple ones out, don't you?
I don't really have a choice.
What's this one?
My slave... That might be
I think
gross.
this was coffee.
I had one that was like butterscotch. Not a fan. Wax.
Your wax?
Do you have those Harry Potter ones in here?
No.
Thank God. Have you guys had the Harry Potter? Have you had that?
I've gotten the vomit one. Yeah.
I had the rotten egg.
Oh boy.
It was bad. And then like an hour later, after it came back. And I was like, no. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was hoping it would be the popcorn flavor, but it was rotten egg. And it was so gross. And I give me something and I would chug. And it wasn't exactly an hour. A little while later though, it was like, it came back to haunt me.
Oh my God.
And I don't even like eggs, let alone a rotten egg. It was,
yeah, those are bad.
They're rough. They're not fun.
No.
They're not fun.
They're fun like as a practical joke on somebody.
Yeah.
Hey, you want some beans?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But I would never, I thought about buying it. First of all, they're expensive.
They are.
Secondly, why would you do that to yourself? Yeah, a practical joke's fine, but then that joke's coming back on you. Just stay away from that. Anyway, I had the rotten egg toothpaste I got, and I had another one that was supposed to be gross, but it was like,
I think
like toothpaste was supposed to be gross, but it's mint.
It's mint. I'm not gonna lie, the earthworm one kind of tasted good.
It tastes like chicken.
It tasted like what you would expect an earthworm to taste like, but sweet. I don't know, it's weird. And I was not one of those kids who ate worms, so I don't know why I know that's what a worm tastes like.
Okay, guys, tomorrow night our preview show for season 4 of Rebels.
But look how insane this is. We've reached the end. The next page of this notebook, there's nothing on it because that's it. We got there. We got to the end of I Rebel, and that's thanks to you guys for sticking with us all summer. We've been doing this.
Yeah,
we're finally there.
Now it's raining and cold.
Now it's October, and we are chilly, and we're looking forward to Halloween. And
I'll be in Vancouver.
Boo!
But I'm gonna wear a Darth Maul mask.
Yay! I want a nice Vader costume, like as long as it changes my voice. I don't want to just have a mask that doesn't change.
Mine's from the dollar store. My Darth Maul mask is from the dollar store. It is epic. Oh, I'm gonna
wear that and then like a tux.
Yeah,
fancy mall. So that's I Rebel, folks. Next time we see you, we're gonna do a quick little video of like what we can look forward to in season 4, and then after that, next time we see you, it's season 4, baby. We there. So thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hugging. Thanks for commenting. And we'll see you next time on I Rebel. May the force of others be with you. And have a jelly bean, please. It's on me.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.